Roselawn, just south of Wheatfield, really Wheatfield and DeMott, you need to take cover as well. But I would even say Shelby, Schneider, a little further north, Lowell, not a bad idea to head to your safe zone. If we zoom out, you can kind of see that we're following the path of where we expect the tornado to go, headed, you can see just to the west of Wheatfield is where it kind of cuts off. We'll see if this holds together. I know, Mike, you've been tracking this all afternoon. We've been watching this frontal boundary, or where the temperatures have been drastically different north to south. And actually, as of late, we did have that watch that was extended into portions of Lake and Porter County, too, for the tornado watch.
Well, Caitlin, I don't know if you can see this on your monitor at home, but we've actually got, I just called up the temperature map here to illustrate what you were just saying. You've got 39 degrees at O'Hare, Chicago's lakefront. It's 41 not far from where you are, Merrillville. But look at the difference here south of that front. This is where you've got 68 at Kankakee, 70 at Rensselaer. Really, anywhere along the Kankakee or Illinois rivers, it's still summer out there. And that is where the greater instability has been. This is where we've seen and expected the higher tornado risk to be. But we did not want our folks to take for granted that even in this chillier air mass where it's been foggy, I sent you a text earlier, Caitlin. Remember I said it was misting at my house? Yeah, it's been like, like a chilly day, but we have stressed that even in that seemingly safe air mass, we're going to get thunderstorms out there, and that has definitely been the case. And, we're rightfully focusing on that tornadic thunderstorm that you see there right along the Kankakee River, along the Southern Lake and Northern Newton County line. But my goodness, there are storms all over the Midwest right now, and a lot of these are severe, particularly producing hail. Numerous warnings here. All of these orange polygons kind of lined up in the I-80 corridor from just south of the Quad Cities all the way now into Kane County, Kendall County. And then look here, look at this one, Caitlin, coming out of Joe Davies into Stevenson County here. I should let my mother-in-law know about this. So this is another hailstorm here. These are not tornadic storms, but anywhere in Chicagoland, thunderstorms are going to be a problem here for the next several hours. Hail, primary threat, flooding rainfall, another one. And then, let's dive back in here to this tornado, Caitlin.
Here, so it's moving east at 25 miles per hour. So I did put a cone on here, this red shaded area, which no towns are popping up, kind of a rural spot. I could zoom in on these streets, but I did want to just shout out that we do expect it to be around Shelby at 725, Roselawn around 720, which is 717 right now. So let me get you a closer look at some of these. So you can see Schneider, just to the north of where that rotation signature is located.
Yeah, and Caitlin, take a look at this video that we have here. This is coming to us from Fox Weather, courtesy of Corey Gerken, Storm Chaser, and there is the tornado. Not live. This was moments ago as it moved through Kankakee County. And that's not an EF0, Caitlin. That's got some power to it, don't you think? At least that looks like an EF2 to me.
Yeah, I saw it earlier today out of Kankakee. I can't see the screen that you're looking at exactly,
okay,
Mike, but I have seen previous videos of this storm when it was still in Kankakee and how large it was on the ground, even still photos of it when it was in Kankakee. But let's talk about this thunderstorm for a minute, because, yes, we've got that tornado warning, which we will get back to in just a moment. But looking at this destructive thunderstorm, how large of an area it's covering, most of Lake County, I would say, central and southern Lake County. So where you see these purple shades, the black shades. We've been talking about this hail, which is also been an issue with these thunderstorms. You can see the hail tracker and how dark it is from Kankakee through Moment all the way to Lowell right now. So if you are in locations north of where we expect this tornado to be on the ground, it's still not a bad idea to be in your safe place. We do expect very strong winds associated with this destructive thunderstorm. Of course, as mentioned before, if you're just joining us, if your phone went off and you live in portions of Lake and Porter County, not included where we expect this tornado to be on the ground, that's because of large hailstones possible. And we've seen a history of this, if I zoom out, with thunderstorms that have been developing throughout the day. And of course, we're just getting started here. We have the potential all the way through this evening and into the early overnight for these storms to be strong and destructive. I don't want to ignore our folks out there in LaSalle County, Yorkville, so stretching over to Kane and Kendall County, where we do still have that severe thunderstorm warning in effect. Just so you know, let's check in there where we do still have that severe thunderstorm warning for Kendall County until 8 p.m. This stretches north into Kane County, of course, until 8 as well, where these thunderstorms are rolling through in LaSalle County.
Hey, Caitlin, let me interrupt you here real quick. Sure. We've got apparently some live, if you look at our Fox Weather Live, this is what it's doing in Lake Village, Indiana right now. Look at all the flashes going on there. All right, they've just broken off there. Now we're going to Oklahoma City. It got bad timing there, but in the bottom right, they were showing that live. There it is, the bottom right. That is where Lake Village has been apparently hit by this tornado. You were mentioning that a little while ago, Caitlin. And if we look at like our screen here, yeah, upper left, that is where you see that green touching the pink. That is where the center of circulation is, and Roselawn, kind of famous for horrible plane crash on Halloween many, many years ago, is now right in the path of this tornado. And that tornado warning, look, the tornado warning west of 41, it's done. It's still in effect, but the storm has passed you there. The storm is now, in this part here, okay? And it is moving to the east at about 25 to 30 miles per hour. And really, Roselawn, get to your safe place now, lowest level of your building, away from windows, center of the room. Don't wait for this. Don't look out the window. Is it really coming, honey? Let's take a look. No, get to the basement right now. Grab a helmet, put your shoes on, get your phone, and just, hope that, you don't get hit by this thing. But this is a real tornado. It has been in contact with the ground now for, I think, over an hour. This is what we call a long track tornado. And it's still, the radar signature here, maybe, Caitlin, you see this here? I don't know if you can see what can you see on your monitor then? Like if
I can't. No, sorry. I'm up in an office at a house.
Okay,
I can't see the monitor.
But are you able to see links too?
Yes.
Okay, so like if you just call up regular reflectivity, and it looks like the pendant may be weakening ever so slightly.
I'm seeing that, yes.
Yeah, maybe a little less distinct.
Yeah. And I've been checking in too with our chat here, and I'm with you. I'm not seeing as strong. I'm going to put on the velocity data.
Okay.
So I still see that there is rotation associated with the storm. So it wouldn't be uncommon, of course, within these supercell thunderstorms for the tornadoes to touch down and then lift again. But no, I'm with you. I don't see as strong of a radar signature as it looks like it is a bit weaker. A little more difficult to pinpoint exactly where that rotation is. Mike, I don't know if you agree with me, but if I'm putting on velocity, I'm seeing the closest rotation or along that thunderstorm to be just to the west of Roselawn, near Sayre, where those reds and greens come together, so just east of Lake Village now. This storm, by the way, is tracking straight east. So I know you might be wondering, is it going to continue its path to the north? We're looking at it being an east-moving storm around 25 to 30 miles per hour. So as Mike's been mentioning, get to your safe place, get to the furthermost inside of your home. So away from the windows if you can, lowest level if possible. That's where the safest place is going to be. As far as those of you who are in the path of where we have this warning in effect, this is going to be now stretching into Jasper County here shortly. If I zoom out, you can kind of see the black lines indicate where the county lines are located. So this storm is still going to be in Newton County right now. Where you see that little gray circle, that's where we do expect that rotation to be, where that tornado perhaps is still on the ground. So it will be shortly crossing over into the Jasper County line here. It's approaching the border of the county. So if I zoom in, you can see where Sayre is located. We have a north-south stretching road here. I'm trying to see the name of this street. Harrison Street. We expect the rotation to be moving over this street currently. This is right over Roselawn here momentarily. And this storm, as mentioned, is going to be continuing to move to the east. If I get a little closer, Mike, we have the capability to see, ground level here.
Yep.
I'm trying to see what kind of communities this storm is moving over. I see a lot of farmland, but I also, if you get a little bit closer, you can see some neighborhoods. So folks may be at home right now in these spots out here near.
Well, how about like Bunker Hill Drive, Ethel Street? I'm just kind of zooming in, as you mentioned, on some of these neighborhoods. A couple of these roads are popping up here for me. But this is, it looks like it's like right over Roselawn, but there's no question that the circulation is weakened somewhat, but this is not saying, hey, everything's fine, go back outside and continue playing. No, this is the sort of storm, and we've seen this already happen with this particular supercell. A couple of hours ago, it was producing a similar tornadic signature on radar. Then it weakened. It still was putting down some hail. We had a severe thunderstorm warning and a special weather statement came out. And then this thing got ugly in a short period of time. The circulation tightened up. That may yet happen again, even as Caitlin and I are telling you that it looks like the circulation has weakened ever so slightly here. Doesn't have that just perfect signature, but it's still alarming. And there is still we got rotation here. I'll put on mine. The storm relative velocity, we still have green in close proximity to red. We've got that couplet showing up here. This is now just east of Schneider, right over Roselawn, okay? And then the town of Pembroke, you're right on the edge of this thing. I mean, there's a Pembroke in Illinois also. That's not the one. But then, all right, it looks like we got maybe a little strange scan. Can you, I don't know.
I'll take over here.
Go ahead, Caitlin. And why? Do me a favor, take over turn on your SRV on yours,
okay,
and take a look at what just showed up on this scan here right over Roselawn. It's a little strange. See that blue?
Colors?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I do want to point out, too, on the radar, something I forgot to mention for western areas. I mentioned how we're not done with these storms by any means, how we're just getting started. I wanted to point out the training potential here.
Oh, yeah.
The rainfall that's going to continue to be pushing into locations like LaSalle County, Kane and Kendall County. This could lead to flooding, not only this evening, but into tonight and early tomorrow. We have continued potential for rain even into early Wednesday. So that's something else that we will be keeping a close eye on. I'm actually texting with Glenn Wheatfield. He's a friend of the show. He says that this tornado just hit a campground this would be in northern Newton County. He said that they're keeping up with any reports that have been coming in. He mentioned how it just crossed 65, the rotation out there. So if we do, let's take a closer look and see if the velocity is showing. Yeah, near Roselawn, still seeing that the strongest signature. So Glenn said that he thinks that it did just cross over 65. Of course, something else that is difficult, having tornadoes when it's dark outside like this, it's hard to see. We just simply can't see the storm. If we have someone out there reporting that there is a tornado on the ground, it's easier when there's daylight. So I'm glad that we do have these reports coming in, and obviously we're going to be tracking the damage associated with this tornado on the ground. We'll be able to get a better idea.
Here's one, Caitlin. Lowell Fire was just dispatched to cover Lake Township, stating that a tornado hit their station. Another sign of some damage there. Looking at some additional pictures of the tornado. We got we got maybe like an extension here. The tornado warning, we now have like a red polygon within our purple one. Caitlin, do you see this?
Yeah, I do see that.
But this is still a confirmed tornado, but it may be. I'm looking at this other one here that it's expiring at 7:30. That tornado polygon out there south of Schneider. That's done. There's no tornado out there. The tornado is, like Caitlin said, it's like right over 65. Or maybe just a little bit east of the interstate right now, but that is still a huge hail north of that circulation in that pink shaded area there. There is some big hail coming down, and that can be destructive even outside of the damaging winds associated with the tornado.
I'm seeing that red polygon that you just mentioned, and it looks like that's just the general tornado warning. So we'll see if that purple blinking box, which indicates the confirmed tornado warning, disappears here. But still, tornado warning in effect until 8:15 for northeastern Newton and northwestern Jasper counties. The tornado was located over Roselawn, just east of Lake Village, moving east at 25 miles per hour. That was about 4 minutes ago. So locations impacted, Roselawn, DeMont. This is moving east at 25 miles per hour. So it's not moving too fast.
No.
I can zoom in and show, I'll put the tracker on it for 25 miles per hour straight east, which is about here. So this is generally where this tornado is expected to move. As you can see, it is lining up nicely with where that tornado warned box is located.
Yeah, I would say Wheatfield, which is, I've been there several times, Caitlin, to go photograph sandhill cranes. There's the Jasper Pulaski Wildlife Refuge right by there. Again, not a hugely populated area, but folks live in Wheatfield, and it looks like that storm may be headed right there.
Absolutely. So perhaps you're just joining us. Maybe this thunderstorm woke you up. Mike and I are on live because we do have a tornado warning with a cell, a super cell. Here you can see the larger picture that has had a history of confirmed tornado on the ground. We saw a very clear hook evident in Kankakee County. This storm has continued to push east. Now it's in northwest Indiana. So your warning bells have been going off in northwest Indiana. As far as where we have the warning located, I'll zoom out so you can really get an idea of where we are here. You can see Lake County, Porter County, Newton and Jasper counties. The purple box, that will draw your eye to where we do expect that tornado is on the ground right now. We have the tornado warning in effect until 8:15, which it's 7:31 right now. I'm going to put on our velocity data. Again, we have been watching where this rotation is located to see where the best chance is that tornado is still on the ground. Of course, it's dark outside at this point. I haven't seen any reports as of late of eyes on this tornado on the ground, but reports are saying that it will be near Roselawn and nearing DeMont in the next few minutes here. The path looking to pass just between DeMont and Wheatfield, perhaps pushing over just north of San Pierre here shortly, which if I zoom out, you might be able to see these towns that I'm mentioning. So there's Wheatfield, if I zoom out even more. So what we're looking at is a path. If you follow my little mouse here, generally speaking, right
there.
around this direction is where we expect the rotation to go. So we're hovering right around the northern portions of Newton and Jasper counties.
All right, I want to show, you've been talking about widening out. I'm going to widen out even farther here, Caitlin. Take a look here at pretty much all of northern Illinois and northwest Indiana. Look at all of these thunderstorms. Here, I'll turn on the lightning. Every one of these is a thunderstorm, even in areas where right now temperatures are, chilly in the 30s. And we have additional warnings, no tornado warnings, but these are still warnings primarily for large hail. Pause this here on the last frame, and this includes parts of Kane County. If you're in, this is probably not far from Big Rock, I would say, or maybe just a little bit past there. Sugar Grove, the airport. We should check what's going on there at the cold spot, Caitlin. But Aurora getting some of that hail. Farther south into Kendall County, Yorkville, probably here, near Millbrook. Then we'll cross the county line here into northeastern LaSalle County. Northville, here's 34. You just take Ogden straight west and you'll be driving into this thing here towards Earlville. Mendota, that's another severe thunderstorm warning for most of, or at least the northern half of LaSalle County. And all of these warnings continue way to the west, even into western Illinois, around Kewanee and just north of Galesburg. And we have severe thunderstorms starting to flare up here along the state line near Freeport. And then here it looks like maybe a special weather statement coming out of Walworth County for hail-producing thunderstorms there near Lake Geneva. So this is a widespread thunderstorm event tonight. Still the greatest risk of tornadoes is going to be in that warm sector. I'm going to kind of draw here a little horrible warm front. Don't make fun of my drawing here, Caitlin, as I try and draw this thing here. But, roughly along and south of this horribly drawn warm front is where the highest risk of a tornado is going to be. But north of that front is where we have our severe thunderstorm watch until midnight. And that is for hail, maybe some isolated instances of damaging wind gusts. And as you mentioned, Caitlin, I mean, the rain from these storms that are, training, could be some big numbers here. A couple inches in an hour would not be surprising.
Yeah. I do want to circle back to this severe thunderstorm that's happening in northwest Indiana. I have had reports now out of Newton County of power outages. I'm looking at some of the details associated with this storm. So I'm going to pull up radar here. Winds could be around 60 miles per hour. Also, we could see tennis ball size hail possible. This thunderstorm is moving to the east at 35 miles per hour. Of course, within this thunderstorm is where we do have that tornado warning in effect. But locations like Valparaiso, DeMotte, Hebron, Wheatfield, Lakes of the Four Seasons, Roselawn, Couts, Boone Grove, Fair Oaks, all the way to Malden have the potential for those winds at 60 miles per hour. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have more power outages happening here shortly that we haven't reported on just yet. But as this thunderstorm rocks on through, it's not only the threat of damaging winds and tornado. Obviously, along with that, we could be losing power. Again, let's talk about this storm and where we expect that tornado to still be on the ground. You can see that appendage on my radar here, where you're seeing that purple blinking box. That's the warning that we have been watching. If I put on velocity data, we still have the indication of rotation.
But it's a little broader. It's a little bit broader. In fact, it almost looks like they're two separate centers of circulation. Do you see that here?
I do see that. Yeah. So we're talking, Kaplan's talking about these bright white and red and white and green mixes. So Forest City, near Forest City and also near Deer Park are the two separate spots of rotation that he's pointing out. But this is still under that warning category. So there still absolutely could be tornadoes dropping out of these clouds. Mike, have you had a chance to look at the chat to see if we've had any other reports coming in?
Let's see here. Spot a report from sheriff says rain wrapped and on the ground 1100 North and State Route 10. That would be in Newton County. Let's see. Dispatch coming out of that office says they have no power at this time. This is different. This is coming out of Sandwich. 1-inch hail downtown there. And here's another report here saying multiple spouts down. I'm not sure what that means. North of 900 West and 10. Not sure what that means, but that circulation, it's still there, but it may be loosening up ever so slightly. This is not a sign for those of you to ignore this storm. It is still, and at any moment, it could intensify again, or it may still be putting down a tornado. It may actually have two separate circulations there. That's kind of interesting. This may have split here on us, but the town of Wheatfield appears to be very, very close to where the storm will be going. Deer Park, correct me if I'm wrong on this one. If you're in Knyman, I don't know if that's the right way of pronouncing it, but it's just east of 231. And then a little farther north, DeMotte, Kersey, and Stoutsburg. Your communities are very close to this as well. Caitlin, I'm going to put up a graphic here. Just another reminder, where do we go when a tornado hits? And I know this says no basement, but let's just assume that it's either no basement or you have a basement because the rule is still the same. Lowest level of the building you're in, away from windows and external walls. If possible, get under something sturdy. In a lot of houses, this is going to be a bathroom maybe in the middle of the house, could be a closet. Could be under the stairwell in your basement or under the stair. If you have no basement, under the stairwell in the house. And grab a helmet. If you're a biker, if you're a skater, grab a helmet. Put on a helmet here just to protect your head from anything that might fly. If you're in the path of these storms, and I mean, we've got confirmed tornado, get yourself to a place of safety away from windows, which is, again, Caitlin, I've been criticizing myself because I know that if a storm is coming, I'm going to be standing there trying to get a picture or video of the darn thing, breaking all the rules that we tell people to do. But I really, do not take this storm lightly, folks. This is not one of these radar detected. Caitlin and I have been stressing this flashing purple box, confirmed tornado. We've shown you pictures, video. There's plenty of reports of this thing having impacted multiple communities tonight. Hopefully, nobody's been injured, but there's certainly going to be some property damage from these storms.
Lots of damage coming through, and I have been watching some of these reports coming in now. Lake Township, Indiana, a gas station was hit by the tornado at U.S. Route 10 and U.S. Route 41. So actually, Glenn is going to try to join us too.
Glenn Fifield?
In Newton County. Yep, he's
okay,
going to
good.
call in here shortly to give us his reports that he's been receiving about the damage that's happening across the area. To Mike's point, tonight is one of those nights where you want to sign up for notifications. You can do that on our Fox 32 weather app. You can pick which notifications you want to be woken up to, whether it just be tornado warnings, which we highly encourage, or just severe thunderstorm warnings. You will be notified in case you're sleeping, because this is happening at a time where I keep getting messages from friends saying, can I put the kids to bed? Like, are we safe? I understand that this is it's a school night. It's 7:41. You might be thinking, do I have to go down to the basement? Our message to you is that we all have the chance for severe thunderstorms. We all have the potential for damaging wind, for power outages, for that strong, large hail. At this moment, the only location that has a tornado warning is Northwest Indiana. This is going to be in northern Newton, northern Jasper counties being impacted. Now moving into, I should say, Jasper County. It's crossed over the county line.
And Caitlin, let me interject here, because it builds
Sure.
on your point here. And let me ask our director to take my system right now, because you were just mentioning how everywhere can get something here tonight. These are the watches that are in effect through the nighttime hours. Watches, remember, are issued for where severe weather is possible. And in yellow, which includes Cook County, Will County, DuPage, the whole metro, northern Illinois, north of I-80 roughly, it's a severe thunderstorm watch till midnight. In red, which now includes all of you in northwest Indiana, this used to only include Newton and Jasper, that's the tornado watch. This includes LaSalle, Grundy, Point South. Roughly, if your county touches the Kankakee or Illinois River, for the most part, you have a tornado watch. That is where the air is warmer, instability is higher, and I think, Caitlin, they extended that watch a little farther north to account for the fact that we have that isolated supercell in progress right on that Kankakee River. But as you just said, I mean, look at how many thunderstorms here. I'll turn off the warnings here. I'm going to turn on the lightning, and I'm going to put this thing into motion, and just look how much of the area is getting hit. You see that?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just got a video in, actually from Kankakee, of the damage. Hopefully we can pull it up and share it with you guys. If not, after this warning is expired, of course. But the damage is severe from this tornado. I am checking in now with our radar and velocity too, by the way.
And Caitlin, I think we've got some video here that we can put up to talk to your point here. So
Yeah.
go ahead and roll that when you have it here, so we can see the damage that's already occurred.
Okay, are they going to roll it right now?
Well, I thought so. It's coming. It's coming.
Well,
We're spooling it up on the 8-track, Caitlin, right now. We'll get this thing rolling. Here we go. All right. So, do we know exactly where this was? It's Kankakee, and I'm looking at the street name. It's on Industrial. All right. So there, yeah. Been hit by a tornado. Let's hope nobody was in there. Look at the car smashed there, low left, Caitlin. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So again, you're looking live here. Our crew is on the scene in Kankakee, and that is damage that has been done on Industrial Drive. And I'm sure that there is plenty more, unfortunately, damage similar to that. We showed earlier some video of the tornado earlier this evening, and there is no question that this was not one of these puny, and I hate to be disrespectful, I know a lot of you have had some minor damage from EF0s and EF1s, but the vast majority in recent years of tornadoes that have hit the Chicago area have been, 90-mile-an-hour weak tornadoes. This one, much stronger. I'm thinking when the damage assessment comes out, you're going to be seeing at least EF2 damage from this storm here. There you see that tornado earlier. This is from where? That is Kankakee. All right. I don't know if that's that on I-57. I'm not sure what road that is, but my goodness, wow. Excuse me there.
I
Wow.
just sent in a video from Kankakee Elks, actually.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it is
Excuse me.
the video that you are showing right now. I can't see a monitor right now.
Is it of the tornado going over a road?
It's of the damage afterwards. So
Okay,
just
no.
trees that are wiped clean of branches. It looks like large debris was thrown around. But I do want to focus back on where the warning is located right now. And just to also remind you, I know it's the Midwest, and you might be tempted, as Mike mentioned earlier, to go outside and try to spot this thing. Don't do it because, first of all, it's dark. You're not going to be able to see it. Second of all, it's not safe, of course, number one. But also, we've had reports that it's rain-wrapped.
Rain
so
wrapped,
that's going to make it difficult to see where it's located. But I do want to mention that this warning has been extended until 8:45, moving east at 25 miles per hour over DeMott. As far as who's in the path, it's going to be near Wheatfield by 7:50. So it's 7:46 right now. Momentarily here, this tornado is going to be moving over Wheatfield. And so for those of you who are in Wheatfield, take cover right now. Even further down the road, I'm talking about Teft, Dunn's Bridge. Get to your safe place. You are in the path of this tornado. Where it is located currently, you can see when I zoom in, these streets, these look like subdivisions to me. Still Meadows Drive, Woodgate Drive, Rachel Lane, Cynthia Lane. If we put on the velocity, you can see that that's where we expect that rotation to be. And from this perspective, you can get a better idea of what this looks like.
All right, Caitlin, we're still showing the video of the tornado. So right now we're not, there we go. We got kind of a split screen set up there.
Okay.
So it actually, they're on my system here, but go ahead and talk. Wheatfield area, I know you've been mentioning that the storm looks like it's just west of Wheatfield. Really, folks there, you got to take cover right now. Farther to the east, looks like there's a community called Teft. And as you said, Dunn's Bridge, right along the river there.
Yep.
So yeah, that's where we still have our purple flashing. That is a confirmed tornado warning there for Jasper County. But Caitlin, I don't know if you saw, because I know you, depending on where you are in your house and what you could see right now, the video that we were just showing of the tornado. This looked like a really bad stovepipe intensity tornado here, and just eyeballing it, right there, it looks like that's got to be an EF3 at least. This is not one of these little dinky tornadoes here.
No, and this is what we expected today. We had the perfect setup for these stronger EF2 and greater tornadoes, long track tornadoes. And we've been mentioning all day that there is the potential for, of course, those large hailstones damaging wind, but really this tornado risk has really what we've been honed in on. If you guys could pull up Weather 2, I do want to get on some of these smaller communities that this potential tornado is moving over. Confirmed tornado is moving over. So Wheatfield is where I'm going to focus. Wheatfield is in the direct line of where this rotation is currently. Hold
on, Caitlin. Can we take Caitlin's system? Take Weather 2, please.
So this is going to be between Stoutsburg and Wheatfield, where I'm zooming in, where you're seeing the rotation come together. Mm-hmm. So I want to show you the communities that could be impacted right now by this tornado. Let's see what kind of rural area. I'm seeing a lot of farmland out here. But, in the past, it has just moved over a few subdivisions. I'm trying to pop up a couple of these street names here. Okay, so here we're getting into a neighborhood. Robin Street, this is Wheatfield. So if you do live in Wheatfield, make sure you're in your safe place. Momentarily, if not right now, that rotation is moving into Wheatfield. And it is going to be moving to the east, as mentioned. We've been tracking this to the east around 25 miles per hour. So I am going to shout out a couple other communities that are in its path.
Well, here, hey, Caitlin, hold on, quick second. Sure, I've got a bunch of streets here in Wheatfield where this storm is here. You mentioned Robbins, but it looks like maybe near Birma, Center Street, South, High, and Penn. This neighborhood right in the path of that tornado. Obviously, I'm not sure how many folks who live in that neighborhood might be watching right now, but if you are or know somebody in that neighborhood, that is where this storm is right now. Caitlin?
Yeah, if you have friends or family who are texting you that are concerned, by the way, maybe they lost power, you can get our Fox 32 weather app and you can stream our coverage. Fox Local is another way for you to get coverage of our tornado coverage and storm coverage for tonight. Just to ease your mind, we're going to be tracking this. We'll tell you where we expect the tornado to be, and we'll keep you in the loop so you know and you can keep your family safe. As Mike was just mentioning, we really honed in here on Wheatfield to shout out a couple of these communities. You can see that cross street, East Robbins Street, East Penn Street is popping out here, maybe one of the larger streets in Wheatfield right now. That's where we expect the tornado to be moving past. Let's zoom out, though, because we are still getting reports of hail associated with thunderstorms that are rolling on through. So here's where the storm is located now. This is that supercellular thunderstorm that we have been tracking since it developed that tornado in Kankakee and has been tracking east. So if we take a look at the big picture, what we're seeing here in this orange color is the severe thunderstorm warning that is going to continue as this storm pushes even into portions of LaPorte County. It looks like we just got a new tornado warning extended too. Let's see what this is for, actually. Okay, so that's just following the path. As mentioned, right where this severe thunderstorm warning is moving, that's where the tornado warning is also going to be pushing. So at that point, it will be moving from Jasper County into portions of LaPorte County and Pulaski. But right now, it is moving through central Jasper County. Wheatfield, as mentioned, we've been watching this velocity, where we expect the tornado to be now, and this supercellular thunderstorm is going to continue to push east. We still expect within this storm, which stretches all the way into portions of Porter County, really central and southern Porter County, and of course, as mentioned, northern Jasper County. This is where we have winds up to 60 miles per hour possible. So you might lose power. If you have power now and you do live in Jasper County, maybe plug in your cell phone, get some extra juice, extra charge in case you do lose power here shortly from these winds.
Let's look at Lynx 1 here because we've been focusing on our one main supercell in northwest Indiana, but we have to account for the fact that there is still some rocking and rolling going on in other parts of northern Illinois, including a new tornado. Let's see if can you figure out where it is here, folks at home? I'll zoom in and show you. Look for that pendant. Here it is again. Here is another one, and it's in Marshall County. That's way off to the southwest. Here's the Illinois River running well to the south, going through Peoria. So this storm is north of Peoria, but we have yet another, at least radar-detected tornado here in Marshall County. This is north of Peoria, but if you just if you follow the track of that, okay, let's just take for granted the fact that it's going almost due east. Well, where's it headed? Southern LaSalle County. Once it crosses the river here, we'll go through Putnam County and then into LaSalle County here. So we may end up with yet another tornadic thunderstorm here. Yeah, all right, and that tornado warning just got extended. As I speak, it is now for eastern portions of Marshall County as well. Having come out of Stark County, and just look here, and you don't have to be a rocket scientist to extrapolate. Where is this going here? right into this little, the panhandle of LaSalle County. This would include Streeter, more than likely here, Rutland, maybe Minonk a little bit farther to the south. But we have yet another tornado in that warm sector, or at least a radar-detected tornado west of the Illinois River. And then look at all the severe thunderstorm warnings, primarily for hail. LaSalle County, you still have that warning in effect until 8:30. The northern segment expires at 8. And then here, not far from Aurora, you've got a severe thunderstorm warning, northern Kendall County, and then a big portion of Kane County until 8 o'clock. The other warnings are a little farther to the northwest. This is really remarkable, where temperatures are much colder. You've got severe thunderstorm warnings here north of Rockford in Winnebago County, north of Freeport in Stevenson County. And here's a nasty cell with some big hail out there around Galena in Joe Davies County. So, we're rightfully focusing on what has already proven to be a destructive tornado coming out of Kankakee County, now moving through northwest Indiana. But there is big hail, flooding rainfall, and at least one additional tornado, not in the Chicago area yet, but it might deal a glancing blow here, maybe to southern LaSalle County, Caitlin.
I got a report from Glen Wheatfield. Newton County Sheriff Department was hit, so they can't dispatch. So if you are in Newton County, the Sheriff's Department was hit by this storm, perhaps a tornado, and so they can't dispatch. That came from Glen Wheatfield. So, yeah, to Mike's point, we are tracking these storms that will continue to develop. I do want to point out that, especially for that LaSalle County potential here with this tornado warning that's just to the west of LaSalle County, we do expect that it is going to be on the very southernmost part of LaSalle as it continues to push east. So those of you in southern LaSalle County, to shout out a couple communities, let's see here. Tonica, Lostant, you might know how to pronounce it.
Tonica and Lostant. Mm-hmm.
Lostant, and then Point South. Of course, Streeter is a little further up the road there. But if you do live in southern LaSalle County, make sure you get to your safe place. This storm is moving straight east as the other did in northwest Indiana. And within these storms that we are talking about that are currently in the Chicago, in our viewing area, as we say, we still expect the potential for flash flooding. So LaSalle County, you have been hit with heavy rain for the past few hours. So from Ottawa points north, I wouldn't be surprised. Hazardous travel, hard to pass roads, I'm sure, in a few locations as this rain is just coming down. So the northern half of LaSalle County, this is stretching north. Aurora is getting hit with the heavy rain, Little Rock. The heavy rain not included in this severe thunderstorm warning from DuPage County, McHenry County, Lake County. But also within these thunderstorms, you could have frequent lightning, of course, hail as well.
Hey, Caitlin, are you in touch with Glen Wheatfield?
I am, yes.
Ask him, because it's my understanding that the Newton County Sheriff's Office would be in Kentland, which seems to me would have been much farther south than where that tornado is. I don't know whether maybe they have another office somewhere, but can you find out from him which office was hit when you get a chance, please? I kind of want to know, like, where exactly that happened.
I'm texting him
as
we speak.
Okay.
I will mention too, Mike, and I did just send this along. Hopefully we can get permission to show it. A 5-inch in diameter hailstone.
Oh my God, where was that?
Campus, Illinois, and this is in Livingston County.
Okay.
So, but just to give you an idea, the potential here of these hailstones from these thunderstorms that are developing this evening. And as I mentioned earlier, hopefully you brought your vehicle, if you do have a car, somewhere inside a covered location, because you could be losing some windows this evening and tonight. Yep, Kentland, you are correct.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm kind of surprised that it hit that far south, but they must have gotten like some really bad wind damage there. I'm going to change a battery, Caitlin, so take over here for about 30 seconds,
All right.
okay? All right.
Yeah. Let's pull up weather too. I'll walk you through. So if you are just joining us, we've been tracking these severe thunderstorms throughout Chicagoland. We've been watching all day at this potential for these thunderstorms in a ripe environment for strong tornadoes, long track tornadoes, also large hail, damaging wind. So I want to get right to where our focus spot has been here. A tornado has been seen starting in Kankakee County associated with this thunderstorm here that we're honing in on and where we still have the tornado warning in effect.
We got a couple new warnings, Caitlin, if I can quick jump in here in the Illinois side. We've got a severe thunderstorm warning until 9 now for Kendall County and northern Grundy County. This is all part of that line of storms now, and the south end of that is where that tornado that we've been talking about to cross the Illinois River is taking place. So again, this is mainly for huge hail happening, and that storm right now reaches roughly from North Aurora through Sugar Grove, right over the airport there, Sandwich, some big hail over 34 here in northern LaSalle County near Northville and Leland. And then this extends southwest here towards Utica, and then to our tornado warned cell, which is about to go over Henry and the Illinois River.
So going back over to Northwest Indiana, that tornado warning, it looks as though rotation has tightened up, and spotters are reporting a tornado near Wheatfield, which will continue eastward and out of Jasper County in another 15 to 20 minutes. So I did turn on the velocity rate, the velocity data here, so we can point out where the rotation is now. So this is going to be just east of Wheatfield. So this is going to be just the southwest of Dunn's Bridge, where we're seeing the best potential for that tornado to be on the ground. I'm taking a closer look and zooming in. I hope you guys have weather 2 up, but I'm not seeing any neighborhood streets that I can point out. If I get too close here, I can see Teft. We've been shouting out Teft there in Jasper County.
I don't know that in my entire career in this town, Caitlin, I've ever mentioned Teft before tonight.
Teft and Dunn's Bridge.
Yeah.
That's where it is moving over right now, the area of rotation. So
yeah, Dunn's Bridge right on the river there. There are folks there, and they need to take cover immediately.
Yes. So if you are in Dunn's Bridge, we're talking about Jasper County and Northwest Indiana, and the new data just came in, and it looks like this is getting tighter right over Dunn's Bridge as we speak. So this is going to be, again, Jasper County in Northwest Indiana, confirmed tornado associated with this thunderstorm that's moving through northeast now of Wheatfield over Dunn's Bridge. If I pull up the radar, you can see where that hook is located and where we do expect that tornado to be approaching the county border here with Stark County, about to cross over into Stark County.
That'll move out of our viewing area, but we still have, a little tiny sliver of far southern LaPorte County there. This will probably pass right over 421 here in a little bit, but near Wilders, Runnymede, these communities, this is going to be south of Westville in Michigan City. You'll still get some rain there, but the worst of the storm is probably going to stay right just south of the Kankakee River here, maybe headed toward North Judson a little bit. And then, we'll hopefully be able to, put the tornado threat to bed, except for this cell that is bearing down on maybe far southern LaSalle County. But, folks if you've had no rain yet tonight, and again, I'm going to turn on the lightning here just to show you how many thunderstorms are in progress here. And all of these polygons, here, I'll turn off the lightning now. You see the lightning? Look at all the polygons. These are all the warnings. I'll flash them on and off. They're off, now they're on. Look how many counties or parts of counties from Iowa through Illinois, southern Wisconsin, northwest Indiana are under severe thunderstorm warnings. Look, even as far north now, look at this here, Kenosha County, up towards Racine, we've got a severe thunderstorm warning there. We talked about the bad weather in the Lake Geneva area. Count yourself fortunate so far this evening, folks, if you have not had a hail-producing thunderstorm, if you have not had a gusty wind or tornado-producing thunderstorm, because the space in between these things is getting smaller, and it's gonna be a stormy night here with plenty more on the way. Oh, look at this here from Kendall. I know you can look at this too, Caitlin. I'm looking at a photo of what looks like it snowed in Troy Grove. This is in Kendall County. From the hail that came down there, blanketing the ground.
Yeah, the hail has been one of the most impressive that I've seen in some time in Chicagoland. A quick programming note, if you are a fan of Doc, You can watch Doc in full after the 10 p.m. news tonight, in case you're missing your shows. I know we gotta tap into this weather sometimes, but we are streaming because we do have a tornado warning still in effect. Now, as Mike was mentioning, we still are going to have the continued potential for hail, damaging winds, severe thunderstorms on through the early part of the overnight, at least. But we still have this rotation that we've been tracking just to the east of Wheatfield now, associated with this thunderstorm, this severe thunderstorm, really damaging thunderstorm that's moving through northwest Indiana still. So I do want to put on the velocity, and let's see exactly where this rotation is located. It looks like right over the river.
Dunn's Bridge, yeah.
Over Dunn's Bridge. Very clear reds and greens coming together. So if you're wondering what we're looking at here, this is where we have the closest rotation tightening up and expecting. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and I'll let you finish here, but just folks may be like, what do they keep talking about rotation and tightening and blah, 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 blah. What's the red touch green? We talked about this a little bit earlier, but, I'll give you folks a pass if you haven't been watching consistently for the past hour and a half. When we look at radar in this particular format, we're able to look at, back in the old days, all we could look at is what's up in the sky. How big are the raindrops? What is the radar beam bouncing off of? We could detect an object. Now, we have something called dual polarization radar. It enables us to not only see an object, we can tell the movement of said object. And that gives us a tremendous advantage in detecting where storms are rotating. We have something called velocity data, or in this case, we're using storm relative velocity data, which kind of factors out the motion of the storm. And the color coding refers to where is stuff moving toward the radar beam, which shows up as green or sometimes a bluish color, and where is stuff moving away from the radar, which is coming in there as a red or a purple color. So where you have these very tight clustering, as we've seen pretty much all night long here with this storm that came out of Kankakee County, of the red touching the green, we know that circulation is very, very tight. It's small, and where you have a very tight circulation, that is where you're going to be looking for the tornado.
Absolutely. So that's really what we're focusing on. And just to give you an idea, if you want to pull up Weather 2 again, where this rotation is located is going to be in eastern Jasper County. So we're keeping an eye on this as we still have that confirmed tornado warning pushing into southern LaPorte County. So to shout out a couple of the communities that this rotation is headed towards, San Pierre, you probably have your sirens going off. Even as far north as Wilders and Riverside, so this is following the river, you can see it here. English Lake included in this warning as well. And North Judson. So this is, again, these storms, this particular storm especially, has been moving straight east, so we expect it to be moving. It looks like it's right on the border there of LaPorte County, and actually we just got the updated radar loop in here data, and it's still looking brighter, looking stronger. You can see, let's take a look at where it's moving over right now. Yeah, we're trying to pull up some of these road names here. Let's see what this one is. I'll zoom out a smidge. Okay, so this is going to be just out of our viewing area, by the way, once it does pass over just south of LaPorte County.
Yeah, that's going into Stark County now.
It's right over that county line of, let me see, that's Porter County that we're looking at here. So we're kind of on the corner here of, let's see, 4 counties. So we have Porter County, and then we have Jasper County here, and then we have LaPorte County here. So it's right at the junction here of all 3 of those counties where the strongest rotation is showing up on our velocity data. I can pull up the radar too to show you. It looks like it's going to be this appendage here, which we have a couple. Looks like with this cell right now. Still though, I do want to mention southern Porter County being hit hard with this storm, all the way into northern Jasper County too. So
come on over. I want to show you the hail tracker. You're talking about, the various parts of counties getting hit hard. On my computer, I've got like all of the hail tracking storms showing here. And you can see how widespread the hail has been here in like the past 45 minutes. Come back over here to links 1 if you guys don't mind here so we can show how widespread the hail is. There you go, upper left. Everything in pink is where there's hail, and in many cases this has been huge. In general, where you see the darker purple colors is where the hail has been especially noteworthy. And I'll show you, here, coming out of northern Stevenson County, headed towards north of Rockford, that's a big hail right in there, in an air mass that is chilly. I'll call up these temperatures again because this has been kind of a remarkable event here. You've got 40 at Woodstock, 39 at O'Hare, Midway 41, and then it's a whole different world. In where you see the yellow, this is where you got temperatures that are flirting with 70 even now. And that is an area that still has the potential of tornadic thunderstorms here for the next couple of hours at least, while the rest of Chicagoland, you're looking at hail and heavy rainfall. And Caitlin, I should point out that Mr. Strell has just shown up. We got triple trouble now.
Oh, love, Mark.
We're going to plug him in here shortly. He just showed up here, so we're going to bring meteorologist Mark Strell into the fray here in a little bit, and he could shed some of his expertise here as well. Let me go track him down, actually, Caitlin. I'll let you take over here for a few quick seconds here.
Absolutely, yes. Okay, so let's take a look at the big picture here. If you're just joining us, we have been tracking a confirmed tornado that started in Kankakee County. It did cross over into Newton, Jasper County, now moving out here shortly into southern LaPorte County. So I'm going to show you this cell first, and then we'll get to the thunderstorms that are continuing northwest of Chicago right now. So what you're looking at, the purple blinking box here, that is a confirmed tornado warning. There's a severe thunderstorm warning as well associated with this supercellular thunderstorm that's moving through. And within this storm here, we do expect the potential for winds around 60 miles per hour, and hail damage is not out of the question. But the bigger concern, of course, is going to be that tornado potential. So if we put on our velocity data, I'm seeing bright returns near Dunn's Bridge. I do expect that this rotation moved right over Dunn's Bridge in Jasper County, unfortunately. And just so you know, this is going to be right on the border here of 3 counties. So there's Porter County, there's Jasper County, this is LaPorte County, and this is Stark County. So the rotation is moving now, pushing out of here, Jasper County shortly, and into Stark County.
And it's definitely weakened up quite a bit. You see just a very small couplet there, right kind of on the river. You see that, Caitlin?
I do see
yeah,
that.
we got Mr. Mark Strell. Let's introduce him to the program. Mark, thank you for coming in tonight.
Well, I'm honored that the team already is in place. So you guys had things well in hand already before I got here.
Well, we are excited to have you joining us on what has been a bad night. I don't know if you've seen any of the video yet, folks. If you're just joining us, we are live now because we have widespread severe weather. The worst of it came through Kankakee County and has moved through northwest Indiana. Damage has been done. We're just, hopeful that nobody has been injured in this. But this tornado was not one of the dinky tornadoes which have kind of characterized us for the past few years, these EF0s and EF1s. This was a mature, long-lasting, significant tornado. We'll get an official EF rating, I'm sure, tomorrow from the National Weather Service, but just eyeballing it, it looks EF3 at least to me.
Yeah, and I was talking to a friend of mine, a contact in the fire service, and they were looking for they were calling out technical rescue crews, and we just got confirmation that there are multiple injuries in Kankakee. No deaths at this point, but multiple injuries.
Oh, that's sad to hear.
Mark, how was your drive in this evening? What did you see?
I left Saginaw, Michigan as soon as I found out that this was going on. I drove across Michigan, and it was basically just cloudy. I thought that I would run into some of these storms coming around the south end of the lake, but it was really uneventful. I just kind of dodged some of the storms, I believe. But it's funny because temperatures were really in the 40s all day long, and I'm getting phone calls from friends as I'm driving, and they're like, down along Interstate 80, and they're like, it's 83 degrees here today.
Yeah, Pontiac, I think, had 80 plus today.
Yeah.
It was like, summer south of the Kankakee River all day long, and that is where the instability was the greatest. And, we've talked about this before, you guys, and for our audience as well. Warm fronts are notorious for being a mecca in this sort of environment for tornadoes to happen. And that has been the case here. We have an area of low pressure off to the west, and what is more or less a stationary front, but it's trying to move a little bit to the north. You get the backing of surface winds. They're kind of going from southwest to southeast, and that just tends to get the atmosphere turning. And unfortunately, in that warm and unstable air mass today, we brewed up a real nasty supercell thunderstorm. I mean, look, if you upper left system is the one that I'm controlling here, and not that it's anything special here, but I just want you to look at the map, okay? And there's this one thing all by itself out there in northwest Indiana, and then look at how everything else is more like it's a cluster of thunderstorms. I mean, there are some individual cells in there, but this cell that came out of Kankakee County, this is just kind of the quintessential supercell thunderstorm. It's in its own environment.
Right.
Nothing is interfering with its intensity right now. Nothing's in its way. And that is where you often get, this is a common thing that you'd find in Texas or Oklahoma. Certainly, it can happen this far north this time of year, but a storm of this magnitude, I think it's a rare beast.
I love how you're pointing that out, too, because if you're just looking at the radar screen and you're looking at what looks like just a bunch of showers and thunderstorms, but we have two different environments with two different things happening. So, yeah, thank you for pointing out the supercell nature of that storm in northwest Indiana versus the other clusters, which are still very potent, but a little bit nature of a different system.
I did want to actually draw attention to LaSalle County, if we could, pull up Weather 2, because to your point, we do have two different environments, but LaSalle County is right on the brink of the potential for the large hail and damaging wind and the tornado threat. So we do have that tornado warning that is still just west of LaSalle County, but it was extended a little further east, so Marshall, Illinois, until 8:45. But within this thunderstorm, that does include this tornado warning that is just, as mentioned, west of LaSalle. 60-mile-per-hour winds and golf ball-sized hail possible. And that includes most of LaSalle County. You can see the severe thunderstorm warning stretches north into Kendall and also Grundy County. These thunderstorms even further north into Aurora, but of course the warning is just south of Aurora. So LaSalle County, this is heavy rain, damaging wind potential, also golf ball-sized hail. And also, too, I should mention that southern portion of LaSalle County, in case you missed it earlier, we could see this extended into the very southernmost part. This tornado warning into LaSalle County.
On the system that Mark and I are sharing right now, Caitlin, I would maybe put that one up there in the box as well. We've got red and green touching here near the town of Varna, and this is in Marshall County. This is well southwest of Chicago. It's north of Peoria, but the panhandle of LaSalle County, essentially south of Streeter here. Rutland is one of the communities there, Leeds, and then even farther south here towards Dana. These are areas. I mean, Marky, you're a LaSalle County guy. Yeah. So this is an area here that might clip portions of far southern LaSalle County with that tornado.
Yeah, you have to be careful. Folks, friends, neighbors that might be traveling north-south on Interstate 39 this evening, that is kind of right in the path of what we're talking about. Basically, just south of Highway 18, which runs east-west out of Streeter. So right, as you mentioned, the panhandle of LaSalle County.
There is plenty of rain out there. The most of Chicagoland, this does not include, or at least it didn't include earlier, Lake and McHenry County, but everywhere else in Chicagoland has got a flood watch. We've been highlighting the tornado. We've been highlighting huge hail. And maybe we have talked about it, but we also have to stress the fact there's going to be some really heavy rainfall here, particularly where the storms are training. We have this from western DuPage County through southern Kane County, Kendall County, and then back into that tornadic cell at the south end of that line. This is heavy rain, maybe an inch plus per hour stuff. And even farther north, look at these storms that are kind of clustered here along the counties, along as I affectionately refer to it as the cheddar curtain.
The cheddar curtain.
The cheddar curtain. I mean, these are downpours here, heavy rain, hail. It is a sloppy night. It is a dangerous night. You know, unless you have somewhere you've got to go, keep the car in the garage and stay the heck at home.
You might as well save the insurance claim from the dents and the hail.
Yeah.
And, to your point, I mean, it's a dark night, and you may not be able to see, that roadway, which is obscured with water. I mean, you could hydroplane and create some accidents there. So there are a lot of things going on in a lot of different neighborhoods across northern Illinois and northwest Indiana.
Flooding potential, especially in our western areas, Kane, Kendall, Grundy County, LaSalle County. At this moment, because we don't have a tornado warning in our viewing area, I'm going to let Mark, you want to hop on weather too? I'll let you two take it over, and I'm going to come in a couple of hours and relieve you, and then I'll carry us through tomorrow morning with the coverage and all the storm reports that we get in.
All right. Great stuff,
Yeah.
Caitlin.
Thank you,
Get a
Caitlin.
little bit of
Thanks,
rest.
everybody.
Hopefully you won't get any bad hail in your area here later tonight. So it's up to you, Mark. If you want to get on a different computer, you just want to sit here and hang out with me.
Well, I like hanging out with you
All right, let's just
because
hang out
you know
here and
what?
play
You
around.
are my weather go-to guy, my expert guy. So whenever I
Okay.
have questions that I, maybe a little rusty on, I always defer to you. And, you've been talking about this setup here for several days now.
Yeah, this is, and I think it was pretty well telegraphed, even from the end of next week. It's been kind of a day. Tuesday is the day. And to their credit, the Storm Prediction Center, these are the folks in Norman, Oklahoma, who put out the advanced, what we call convective outlooks, many days in advance to give you a heads up for maybe where severe weather might occur. And, all along, the decision today was, where is that front going to set up? Because south of the front, that's where you've got your tornado threat. North of the front, even though it may look perfectly, it's just some fog out there. Oh, it's 38 degrees. We can't have any severe. They're talking thunderstorms.
Right.
It never thunders. Yeah, well, it did, and it has, and we're not done with this by a long stretch. But, Mark, this has been a bad night tonight, particularly there in the Kankakee River Valley.
And just a few nights ago, we did have deadly tornadoes across southern Michigan, and some of that video was incredible that we saw out of there. And one of the things that I heard repeatedly was from people that lived around the area were like, I never thought I would see a tornado with a frozen lake
in the foreground.
Yeah, but it obviously happened.
There it was. The severe thunderstorm, this supercell that has been rocking and rolling now, sadly, for a couple of hours. Remember, this thing started in Livingston County earlier this afternoon, and it has just kind of crept across the state line. Now it's moving through far southern LaPorte County. It'll be, I think, passing south of South Bend. And we have just one more, potential tornadic area here, and this is the one that we're tracking that may threaten far southern LaSalle County. This is in Marshall County. Look at the map here at the bottom. You got Peoria. There's the Illinois River showing up in blue there. And Mark mentioned Interstate 39 as kind of being a main road that this tornadic, or at least potentially tornadic, cell is about to cross over here. Right now, the severe thunderstorm warnings include most of LaSalle County, Grundy County, and we'll go a little farther north here into Kendall County. It looks like the warning in Kane County has been allowed to expire. Maybe a little bit here, any of that in DeKalb County. Yeah, just a tiny sliver of a severe thunderstorm warning. And this is primarily for hail. These storms have had a history all afternoon and evening long, wherever they've been, of producing enormous hail. And you get that in what's called an elevated storm setup, elevated in actual altitude. Sometimes the storms are based in what we call the boundary layer, closer to the ground. That has definitely been the case with our supercell here that produced the tornado. But a lot of the instability in the atmosphere today, because of how chilly it has been located higher up in the sky. So the thunderstorms are blooming a little higher than they ordinarily would, and they are able to tap into some of the colder temperatures, and that produces this hail that has been widespread tonight. And I mean, look at all of these warnings far north. I'll pause this here at the end. Southern Wisconsin. You've got a warning, it's a weather statement there, but you got a severe thunderstorm warning in Kenosha County. In Walworth County, a severe thunderstorm warning. North of Rockford, a severe thunderstorm warning. In Stevenson County, this is Freeport, the home of the pretzels. That's a severe thunderstorm warning. The warning should be expiring here in Joe Davies County. Then we'll go a little farther south here into Carroll County and even around Dubuque. We've got this little isolated pipsqueak of a storm, but it's producing big hail. And I mentioned also the very, very heavy rainfall. Actually, I'm going to turn on let's look at the 12-hour rainfall here. And let's look at some of these numbers. I'll turn off the warnings. Okay, just for comparison, where you see this yellow shade, that's 3 inches of rainfall. Let's zoom in on the areas here where that tornado went through, because you had some tremendous amounts of rainfall here as well. We'll get you right along the Kankakee River, 2 inches of rainfall. In Kankakee, 1.5 inches of rainfall. And we're not done. We are not done with the rain, and flooding is going to be a very real problem for parts of Chicagoland. Maybe not all of Chicagoland, but there will be flooding rainfall here tonight, even into early tomorrow morning, as the storms finally begin to settle down from an intensity standpoint. Again, if you're just joining us here, meteorologist Mike Kaplan, we had Caitlin Cody on here a little while ago. Mark Strell has come in to join us for coverage. We have a few counties under severe thunderstorm warnings southwest of the city, and also mainly in northwest of Lake and McHenry County. And then this one cell that is of concern because it has had a tornado warning associated with it. This is not in Chicagoland, but it is threatening extreme southern LaSalle County right now. And in LaSalle County, you are getting a hailstorm and some very heavy rain. The question is, will this continue to be a tornado or a radar-detected tornado here in the next little bit and possibly impact those of you in far southern LaSalle County? You know, what to do in a hailstorm? Obviously, you don't have the car outside, right? If you don't have to drive somewhere, stay home. Also, these storms can do some damage to your home. It can ruin the roof. It can break windows. And the main hail damage from a cost perspective, it's not to roofs, it's to agriculture. Fortunately, there are no crops in the ground out there right now. So if it hails on somebody's farm field, you're not destroying, maybe $1 million corn crop, which often happens with hailstorms later in the year. I talked about this earlier. Victor Gensini, who is a meteorology professor at Northern Illinois University, he led a team of students and other researchers out last spring to cover hailstorms. The project was called Ice Chip. And the whole goal of what they were doing was to learn more about how to predict hail better, how to detect hail better, how to know where the big hailstones are falling in hopes of providing maybe a little bit better forecasting of hailstorms. Well, this has been one hail of a night tonight, and one of the things that he told me during an interview we had here on Fox 32 with him last week was an initial finding here of Ice Chip was that the storms that produce hail, oftentimes the radar has been misleading as to the size of the hail that was actually falling. And my assumption is that more than likely it was underestimating the size of the hail. Well, now, fortunately, we have a lot of people that are out there. They're taking pictures, sending in pictures, and I know we'll be sharing a bunch during our news here tonight. But there will be, lots of pictures online of, of enormous hail tonight. And I'm sorry, and also some smaller hail that covered the ground. But this has been a notable hail event, and we're not done with it. In terms of the tornado, that has exited the Chicagoland area, our viewing area. It is now moving into kind of north central Indiana, leaving behind a trail of damage. And as Mark Strell just mentioned a little while ago, there have been reported injuries in Kankakee County at least. There you're looking at the city, and you can actually take a look there at that live shot, and you can see some of the rain and some of the low cloud cover blowing through. There's not much rain downtown, but there is, some fog. some drizzle and mist. On radar right now, and here I'll turn off the warning, but you can see some of the rain from roughly Maywood. Let's take you out the Eisenhower onto 88, and you've got heavy rain just about to hit Naperville. It's pouring in Batavia, Aurora, Oswego, Yorkville, going all the way through Kendall County. And then we take you through LaSalle County, pouring here, Tonica, right over I-39. And it looks to me, let's look at the rotation here. There's still rotation here. This is just about to be right over Interstate 39 north of Rutland, north of Toluca. This is still in Marshall County, Illinois. It's way southwest of Chicago, but there is still a circulation there. And I'm kind of waiting to see whether the Weather Service is going to go ahead and expand that tornado warning. Just hearing now, unconfirmed reports of housing damage in Wheatfield near State Route 10 and 49 and power lines down there. Caitlin and I, before Mark got in here, we were talking about Wheatfield and how that was going to be one of the areas that was definitely hit. Here we go. This is from the National Weather Service. They are seeing that the wind signature in Kendall County. So let's bring up Kendall County here. Let me zoom out a little bit. In Kendall County, here you see some of these stronger winds maybe here in Kendall County, right in this area here, maybe heading near Plainfield right now. Perhaps some 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts in this brighter green shaded area. We've really highlighted the hail as being a primary threat, but they're having some gusty winds. I'll be surprised if we get 60 mile per hour winds out of these storms tonight, Mark.
Right, but still 50 mile an hour winds can do some damage. You were talking about some of the hail. Unfortunately, we are not in the agriculture lands, not covered with crops.
Right.
And there's a soil moisture deficit across a good portion of northern Illinois. Unfortunately, when it rains this heavy, this fast, we lose a lot of that in runoff. So
it's not sinking in the ground.
It's not sinking like it needs to be. So you might look at some areas that might have a couple of inches of rainfall, and it's not the beneficial rainfall that we need.
Downstate has been in extreme drought for some time now. You go into Champaign County, Vermilion County, Piatt County, heavily agricultural areas, as you were saying. They have been it's been dry in Chicagoland. We're making a dent in the dry conditions, no doubt, tonight, and in many cases it's too much too soon. This sort of rainfall that you see here, where you see all these bright reds, even the oranges and yellows, this is rainfall in some cases that might be an inch per hour or perhaps even more. So this is a concerning rain event on top of the hail and everything else that's
and the
been going on
destructive
here
tornadoes. Tonight. You were talking a little bit earlier about the hail. What were some of the hail sizes that were reported earlier?
We had some reports of 4 and 5 inch diameter hail coming out of Livingston County, baseball to softball size hail, Kankakee County, lots of kind of ping pong ball size hail. Buddy of mine in Darien, where he went to track the storms today, actually sent in some video, which I think we'll be showing later tonight during our 9 o'clock news, of the hail that was coming down, and it was close to golf ball size hail. And the hail, some hail looks almost perfectly circular. A lot of these have been spiky. They've been spiky, showing some of the really violent updrafts that have been going on. Yeah,
and it seems to me those would hurt even more.
Yeah.
When you get smacked with them in the head.
Absolutely. I got that up here. All right. Again,
very busy night tonight. Very busy night.
And if there's one bit of good news is right now, I'm just confirming this. There's no tornado warning in our area. There is a tornado warning now in north central Indiana, but that's out of our viewing area. What we're left with here is a bunch of hailstorms. What had been a tornado warned cell here in eastern Marshall County. Do they still have just a little tiny part of that county there, still there, but they have not expanded the tornado warning into LaSalle County. Let's hope
that's a good sign. It looks like some of the more intense energy is a little north of that as well as you go up Interstate 39.
Still several severe thunderstorm warnings in effect, including a new one now. which includes the Joliet area, Mark. This is northern Will County, and this goes north into, I think, DuPage County. Let me pause it on the last frame here. Yeah, so we have a severe thunderstorm warning now in DuPage and Will County. This is for this line that has a history of producing large hail. I have not seen any, huge hail coming out of that particular cell, but I've got a report here of pea-size hail downtown Aurora. So some smaller hail there. And I'm also not really getting any reports of any damaging wind gusts out of that line either. Mark, I'm going to give you about 1 minute here if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so that's good news that we have seen that there are no tornado warnings at this juncture. And hopefully that will be the trend as we go through the rest of the evening. But as Mike was just mentioning, even up in this colder air environment, look at these showers and thunderstorms and warned storms for severe thunderstorm warnings that are just north of the Illinois-Wisconsin state line. And they stretch basically from Freeport up in northwestern Illinois, right through the Rockford area, just north of our northern suburbs. So even in this colder environment where the temperatures have been into the 40s and currently are in the 40s in many locations, we're still seeing these very strong showers and thunderstorms. And as Mike was talking about earlier, these storms are a little bit elevated up in the atmosphere, so they're still taking advantage of some of the dynamics there. Just briefly, I want to go up a little further north, a little bit out of our area, but I just was on the phone with a friend of mine traveling south of Green Bay, and he was dealing with freezing rain on the roads up there. So, literally from, think about this, from about 100 miles north, maybe a little further than 100 miles north, they had snow earlier today up in parts of northern Wisconsin. Now some freezing, precip freezing rain around Green Bay. We've got the intense showers and thunderstorms, tornadoes here, and temperatures stretching earlier today from the 80s down to our south to areas that were in the 40s.
Even 30s.
Even 30s.
Yeah, when I left my house this morning, Mark, it was 37 degrees at my thermometer. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But this is, we expected this big range in temperatures across the area. And I think there were a lot of folks that were lulled into a sense of false security because it was foggy. There was mist and it was only 40 degrees or whatever. And it is the type of weather that you don't expect. Right. A big thunderstorm, but we, trying to say, just hang on. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Well, especially as that warm front rides northward, and a very dynamic situation where those tornadoes are going to occur. And like I said, a supercell thunderstorm. I mean, that's something you take very, very seriously as we are this evening.
The atmosphere was such that you had cold air is very dense. And that means it's tough to scour out. It takes a lot to push that dense air out of the way. Sometimes when you have a warm front with low pressure off to the west, that low pressure with its counterclockwise wind circulation can actually drag the front north, and you end up kind of expanding the area that gets in on some of that worse weather. But in this case, this time of year, that cooler lake temperature, it's still in the low 30s, that really makes it difficult to nudge that cold air out of place. And, in a way, I realize, look, we've had a lot of hail reports. We've got heavy rainfall. It's been nasty across much of Chicagoland. But the fact that the lake cooled things down, it prevented what might have been a more widespread outbreak of tornadoes in our area than just the one that we've had so far.
Yeah. As you know, and we've talked about so many times, the lake has such a dynamic effect on our weather. And this is one of those cases where definitely, potentially has a huge benefit in keeping us a little safer.
All right, so naturally, just when you thought it was safe to go outside without a tornado warning, here we have that cell has spun up a potential tornado right where we've been watching it, far southern LaSalle County, and then a pretty big portion here of Livingston County, and this even goes into southeastern LaSalle County, including the town of Ransom here. and then we'll see whether that thing holds together and might even move into extreme southern Grundy County here. But so we have a new tornado warning out there. This is still well southwest of Chicago, primarily out of our viewing area, but far southern LaSalle County, including Streeter.
Right.
And look, we've got some viewers there in the Pontiac area. And this is, Mark, this is where that supercell started earlier this evening.
Earlier today,
Yeah,
so it was the same breeding ground.
Right.
And, we're kind of looking at two different environments, and it's interesting that environment is still holding together and still spawning or continuing to allow these tornadoes to form just to our south, where, as you pointed out earlier, temperatures are considerably warmer still tonight down Streeter southward.
Upper 60s to around 70. And so here's the velocity data. We've talked about red touch green.
Yep.
And here is a definite circulation showing up there. Let me see if we can get a little rotation detector. Let's put this one on there.
Fortunately for us,
pretty loose.
This is a very low population zone, although Streeter, a town of about 18,000, 16,000 people, is in the box there. But again, relatively wide open country. The problem is at night, you really can't see these coming.
Right. So let's give this roughly a 30-mile-per-hour northeast stretch here. Town of what is Reading, and then Streeter. You're looking at an approach here in the next 15 minutes or so of this circulation here. And I would say probably favoring northern Livingston County in deference to southern LaSalle County, just based on where that circulation is currently.
Right, and statistically kind of where likely it is possible to end up. And you were talking about the couplet, or basically the distance between the circulation and the winds, and that looked a little bit looser than the ones you've seen earlier today?
Agreed. Yeah, it's still there, but it's not as tight as the other ones. Certainly, not as tight as what we had earlier this evening coming out of Kankakee County. But that storm moving out of that panhandle, if you will, of LaSalle County. This is south of Streeter. It's already crossed. It's east of I-39. I-57 would be the next, I-55 will be the next major interstate that this would be passing over here, maybe flirting with extreme southern Grundy County. So if you're in Streeter toward Dwight, maybe Verona, Ransom, these are going to be some areas where maybe be ready to take cover here if this storm holds together.
This has been a very busy night for you, and it looks like it's going to continue as we go through the next couple of hours as well. Don't really see a lot of this severe weather winding down, at least in the short run.
Right, yeah. And, here we're looking at velocity there.
Let me go back to radar
Go back
here.
to regular radar.
And we were talking also about the heavy rains coming down, so flooding will be a problem here as well. And I have not seen any reports of how much rainfall has come down, but I think you were showing some 2 and 3 inch amounts,
yes,
right?
Yeah, I put up a little Doppler estimate a little while ago, and indeed there were some estimates of 2 to 3 inches of rain coming down there. And it's not done. I mean, it's still pouring there. This is the sort of rain that can come down at, an inch or two per hour. Let's see here. This is the Weather Service issued a flood advisory for central, western, and southern parts of the Chicago metro in anticipation of the heavy rain coming in. This is not surprising. I've brought this up several times, both on air and on my Facebook posts, that the axis, and I'm going to try and highlight something for you here, that it seems like the heavy rain lately has kind of been in this area and even into northwest Indiana. This area, even going back to last year, wherever the flooding, if there was flooding happening, it was oftentimes right in that zone. And this is, I think, one of the areas that the Weather Service is talking about here, having issued a flood advisory. And this is in anticipation of the heavy rain setting up. And we just got confirmation here from the Weather Service. They are noting that the rotation on the LaSalle and Livingston County storm is weakening. It was. You and I just pointed that out, Mark. You mentioned it looked like the rotation to you was not as strong, and that's certainly the case here. But if you're in Streeter, take cover now. Don't goof around with this. And I'm going to call up a graphic here if you haven't seen it already tonight. And I know it says no basement, but this is where to go in any building that you're in the event of a tornado. Lowest level, if you have no basement, that's the ground floor. If you got a basement, you go there. And then get away from windows, get away from exterior walls. And in many cases, this could be a bathroom in the middle of the house, could be a closet. Get under something sturdy. Grab a helmet if you got one at home. Make sure you have shoes on. Get your cell phone ready to go, and maybe a flashlight.
Yeah, and Streeter is a community that has had some experience with tornadoes over the last few years. You were talking a little bit about that access where the heavy rainfall has come down. Do you think there's anything specifically causing that, or is that just happenstance that that's where we've seen the rainfall over the last couple of years?
And let's look at the rotation here and see. I mean, there's still a little bit here just south of Streeter. It's not, the best. Not the clearest signature, certainly not what we were looking at earlier, but we continue to have the tornado warning in effect here. And I'll pause it here on the last frame here so we can get that up for you. This tornado warning is in effect for, another half hour. And this includes Livingston County and far southern portions of LaSalle County. The rest of Chicagoland, no tornadoes, and I think after this thing is done, the risk of tornadoes is pretty much left the building.
Well, that's what I want to hear.
Yeah, but of course, that's famous last words, right?
Last words.
This kicker hasn't missed a field goal in the past 8 years, and then clunk, right?
One for that. I've just been informed that we are going to stick with this coverage all the way until the end of that tornado coverage, even if we go past the newscast. So we'll pick up the newscast a little bit later, but we're going to stick with this very
until
important.
9:15,
or until it's taken down. I assume it will go in.
And it might get canceled prematurely. We'll see about that. But there is still, this little circulation here now, just south of Streeter. I've not seen any confirmation from anybody that's chasing this that says, yeah, I got a tornado here, unlike what we had earlier. Do you think this is an outflow boundary here, Mark?
I think you're right. I think you're right, because what we're seeing there is as the winds flow out. And they create that flow boundary, that outflow boundary, where we could see additional showers and thunderstorms fire up.
Maybe that could be a new firing line, if you will. But this would be the sort of thing that in daytime you'd look at that and go, "Ooh, there comes a shelf cloud."
Yeah, right.
But at nighttime, you're probably not going to see it
no.
unless the lightning illuminates things, and we still have plenty of lightning out there. The atmosphere has got a lot of charge separation tonight. So we are flaring up numerous thunderstorms. Looks to me, I'm going to be maybe oversimplifying things here, but I'm going to pause this. I think I see three distinct, other than our supercell.
Right.
I see three distinct areas of kind of thunderstorm activity. You got this guy right here. You've got something going on back out to the west, and then you have this activity here farther to the north. And, whether this exits off to the north, this is going to pass the city and point south. You're going to get poured on here in northwest Indiana here in about an hour and a half. Let's see what that line does. Hopefully it won't be as intense as its precursors were. But it looks like there are kind of three distinct areas now. We can maybe even go farther out to the west into Iowa, but what do you think?
Those look a little weaker, obviously, out to the west. Now, here's my question. What do you think about that Davenport to around Geneseo storm, that storm that's all the way to the left? Do you think that will continue to fire up and become stronger, or will it come into more of a stable environment behind that first wave?
Well, I'll turn on the Quad Cities radar here to give us a little better look at some of these western storms. And look, here's a tornado warning here, maybe near, would that be Burlington? Yeah, and Fort Madison. Okay, so there's, still some tornadic activity southeast Iowa. I would think that the atmosphere, once these storms come through here, is going to get worked over pretty heavily.
Very well.
And that the thunder threat should be diminishing, particularly the severe thunder threat should be diminishing here after midnight. And then you're going to have some showers tomorrow, maybe a clap of thunder mixed in. But the atmosphere will have been turned over, and it should be a little bit more benevolent.
And when you're talking tomorrow, you're talking basically past midnight tomorrow.
Correct. And even, more so certainly by tomorrow, 5, 6 a.m.
So much quieter.
Much quieter. We can only hope so. Let's look at the hail. This has, again, been a really notable feature of these storms. What we're able to do here is show you the movement of hail roughly over the past 45 minutes or so. And you can see there are several corridors of hail including from the supercell in northwest Indiana. In fact, let me go back here to the Romeoville radar here and get a better look at that. We'll turn on the hail tracker from there. There you go. There's still quite a bit of hail along the Cheddar Curtain. There's still quite a bit of hail approaching the city from the southwest again. We had hail earlier here tonight, Mark. It wasn't huge downtown, but it was hailing. Dawn, did you get any hail on your car?
I did.
Yeah. Dawn went out and grabbed some dinner,
Oh, my
including
goodness.
for me, which I haven't had a chance to eat, and that's okay. But she went out, and I was worried that she was going to have to walk in that, but she drove. Hopefully your car didn't get any damage there.
Not, but I emailed it to you.
Okay. Did you? All right. Well, I'll look for that.
Have we been able to show any pictures of any hailstones?
I know we have some. I don't know if that is the case.
I just got a couple of pictures. I'm going to step into the control room. I'm going to see if we can get this on the air here
All right.
in the next couple of minutes here.
All right.
I'll leave you for a second.
I know that we have had plenty of pictures and some video. We may be saving that for our 9 o'clock show. What you're looking at now here is...
Don't leave.
Okay, here we go. There is some of the hail that came down, and fortunately, somebody put it right next to a tape measure. Thank you for doing that. I would say that 3-inch, almost, that's tennis ball size hail there. I think tennis ball, what is that, like 2.5 inches diameter, I think? I'm not sure where that happened, but that is one of the hailstone that came down. If you're just joining us, the reason why we're on here is because we have widespread severe weather. We're going to continue here until a tornado warning is either canceled or expires in our viewing area. And all right, let's take a look at that. How would you like to own that
goodness.
orange car? Wow.
I think the insurance adjusters are going to be busy tomorrow.
Yeah. Hello. All right, and there's that spiky hail I was talking about, Mark.
Yeah.
Not all hailstones are perfectly round. A lot of it has to do with how turbulent things are within the thunderstorm, and that is something. By the way, hail, true hail, only occurs in a thunderstorm. The way hail is formed is you take essentially some snow high up in the cloud. That's really how most rain happens. It falls into the warmer air on the way down, and it melts into a raindrop. Then it encounters an updraft, which is what makes thunderstorms happen anyway. So you carry that now raindrop up into the cold part of the cloud, where, Mark, it becomes a piece of what?
Piece of ice.
Piece of ice.
Yes.
Now, if you have ice and you bump into more snowflakes, what happens to that piece of ice, Mark?
Tends to coalesce.
Tends to coalesce. It gets a little bit bigger. It gets a little heavier, and it starts to fall again.
Gravity, what a concept.
What a concept. Until it hits that updraft again, and that refreezes it, and it gets recoated over and over again. And depending on the strength of the updraft, that will determine how many trips the hailstone makes up and down in that cloud to get bigger and bigger.
More trips, the more dangerous.
Exactly. So if you're just joining us, we still have a tornado warning in effect until 9:15. This is for Livingston County and specifically for our viewing audience, far southern LaSalle County. Yes, that is our primary viewing area. And if you're in Ransom, if you're in Streeter, this is where the worst of this storm wind potential is in any event. Storm relative velocity, there's still a little rotation being detected here, particularly in northwestern Livingston County. This is nowhere near Pontiac, by the way. You're out of that. You were brushed by the hail and tornado earlier. But this is right on the Livingston and LaSalle County line. You got something there, Mark? Did somebody send you a picture?
I just was looking at that picture earlier, and I know this picture is going to show up in the newscast here this evening, but this is a picture of basically a tennis ball size hail, which
Wow.
Obviously is what you were showing with those broken windows.
That's something. Pea-size hail now being reported in Lombard, so let's pop in on that area and see where we've got some of that hail coming down. Here's Lombard. It looks like some of the hail just to the south of you, maybe near Downers and Lyle, but we got a report of some small hail in Lombard. Generally, the pink, where we're showing you this hail detection, that is where the hail is a little bit bigger. That's where you can get some of the 1-inch diameter, or at least quarter-size hail reported. All these orange polygons, severe thunderstorm warnings, which include northern Will County in the Joliet area, most of DuPage County, looks like all of Kendall County, a big chunk of Grundy County, and then eastern LaSalle County. But our primary concern is with this particular cell here, right on the Livingston and LaSalle County line, where there's at least the possibility of a tornado going on.
Yeah, and we were checking the couplets where the red meets the green a little bit earlier, and it looked a little bit earlier as if that was weakening somewhat. Let's go in and take a look at that again. We're going to go in basically, and let's take a look at first of all, the rotation here. You can see that there has been some rotation that's come across the panhandle of LaSalle County and into Livingston County. It looks like it has weakened just a little bit, which is certainly good news. And right here, again, not as much distinct rotation. We're seeing a little bit of reds next to the greens, but not as much as we saw earlier on. So that's exactly what we want to see. We want to see this continue to weaken as it drifts off to the east. But still, nonetheless, you still need to be cautious. Places like Streeter, it looks like that storm system is upon you now and heading off to the east, heading over towards I-55 eventually. Whether it's a tornadic storm or not, you're still going to be seeing some violent weather out of these storm systems as well. And to that point, numerous thunderstorm warnings are posted here this evening across a good portion of the western metropolitan area, all the way down through the Fox Valley, all the way back down towards southern LaSalle County, and even back as we go a little further, back into the other side of Ogle County, coming into Ogle County, and then back around the Quad Cities down towards Kewanee and towards Geneseo. And then this line continues as you head back. We're now looking over towards southeastern portions of Iowa. So we'll continue to track that as it moves in across the Mississippi River and into Illinois. So again, this is a large area of showers and thunderstorms. Right now, again, the good news is that there are, I'm just checking again, make sure that there are no tornado warnings. This was the storm system that produced that supercell tornado that tore through Kankakee County earlier. It's drifting a little bit more up to the north and to the northeast now. Heading up towards the South Bend area, still producing some heavy rainfall and some high winds, but again, no tornado warnings I should say no tornado warnings out of that system. We're still looking at this tornado warning down towards parts of LaSalle County and into Livingston County. So we're going to continue to track this as we go through the evening, and we'll be here all night long. As long as there's a threat, we will keep you posted on any breaking developments here. So let me go back down and take a look at again, the rotation, since this is the lone tornado.
And it's just canceled.
It just got canceled. Okay, so that is certainly good news. That's what we're hoping for, Mike.
Yep. And that means we're going to start our 9 o'clock news on time, obviously with heavy weather coverage here. Yeah. If you're just joining us, we've had a bad night. Kankakee County and parts of northwest Indiana, we had an intense tornado there. Not one of these EF0, EF1 jobs. This one was a damaging, destructive tornado. Mark, you confirmed that you've heard of injuries
We've heard of
Kankakee.
Injuries, yes. Yeah. And again, I'm talking to some of my sources in the fire service. They were looking for technical rescue crews, which would suggest that they're going through maybe some debris or maybe some structure that has been compromised of some sort. I don't want to speculate too much there, but we have confirmation that there have been some injuries here this evening.
Well, it's sad to hear, but I'm hopeful that nobody was killed, and let's hope that these injuries are not that serious. But we have got video of the tornado. We have video of damage coming up for you here during our 9 o'clock coverage. We have reporters out in the field now. I know one of our reporters, Leslie's, on her way to Kankakee. I'm not sure if she'll be able to get there in time. This would not be a night to be driving.
Right.
But it looks like right now, I-57 is currently in the clear.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But there may be some damage across some of the roads there in that area. But we still have several counties in warnings, Mark.
Well, and to that point, there could be a tornado in one district, and even though that where you're driving, seems clear. There could be potentially some point. There could be a tornado in one district, and even though that where you're driving, seems clear, there could be potentially some debris, nails, sharp objects.
Yeah.